What's good, Faith Walkers? Welcome back. We're going to dive into a powerful teaching about some life messages and how you can start to discover more meaning, more purpose, more significance that you can live from, not for. We have this tendency to uh, try to prove that we're significant because we don't believe that we are. We have this need sometimes to find deeper meaning because we don't fully sometimes value ourselves and the love that we are and that we have to share. And sometimes too, we can feel like we don't have purpose. Like we start asking all these questions about our existence. Like, who am I? Why am I here? How do I make a difference? Does this even matter? And that often can happen when we're so caught up in going through the motions. We just do the same thing every day. We don't feel super connected. In fact, our devices really help us with that. They give us like the counterfeit connection. They give us the impression that we're connected when really we're not at all. We're just sitting in a room by ourselves, potentially connected to millions of people, but not actually connected to any one of them. Your soul knows the difference, right? So there's deep, deep things that we wrestle with, like purpose, like significance, like meaning all the time. And usually we don't have safe spaces to explore this. And so then we just decide that that's not a big deal when it's the biggest deal. And then we just keep trying to move through things and then it just doesn't get better. Because when you don't actually work out some of the biggest issues of your life, maybe you've noticed this, they don't go away. They have a wonderful way of showing up in ways that you don't want them to. And that's really, really challenging. So all that to say, we're going to dive into some teaching and some practice around some life messages. There's a whole lot on this, but I'm just going to do a basic teaching today. There's a lot more of this in our God's Vibes Mastermind that is actually open right now. We will officially start on October 16th, so you can plug in there. But this is where we do a deep dive. I call it Holy Spirit Boot Camp. This is where we do a deep dive into things that have shaped us. This is where we do a deep dive into our identity in Christ, like the design that God has for us. This is where we encounter the Lord in such beautiful and profound ways. This is where we start really learning how to partner and co-create with Him. This is where we understand our uniqueness and we're able to celebrate that and to treasure that and to value that, put boundaries around that and care for that. And then also how we can maximize our influence in the world, how we can steward that uniqueness and really let our light so shine, so to speak. And it's just a beautiful space. It is a sacred container to do this divine and holy work of transformation that you need a lot of care for. And there's weekly sessions. So there's a weekly live component. There is content that you'll have access to for an entire year. And there's a whole lot of bonus content as well. So some of the favorite things are prep week, which you can just get access to immediately. And this just lays the foundation for that program. It gives you a lot of really great supernatural tools to build your life on a firm foundation of the Lord and of faith. There's also a wonderful community. Like the people that come into this space are just different. And it's just beautiful to have people that will pray for you, champion you, support you, that help create and co-create this beautiful place to share, to explore, to discover, to stretch, to grow, to grieve, to do whatever it is that you need to be doing that God has for you to do here. So beautiful space. There's 2 bonus courses in there. There's a ton of journaling prompts to help you really go through contemplative prayer with the Lord and develop a practice of that, how to develop compassion towards self. There's different guided meditations. It's just amazing. So I encourage you, I invite you to join us in there. I'll put the details in the show notes below so that you can plug in. And we also have a workshop coming up. This is all going to be on spiritual gifts. This is Inside Courage Co. It's going to be on October 30th at 7 p.m. So if you go into Courage Co., there's an events option. You're going to see all the upcoming events there, and you can just RSVP Inside Courage Co. Okay? Making sure I hit some of the ground rules here. Let's do the thing. Okay. I love this quote. This is by Dallas Willard. Dallas Willard. It says this, the will, okay, in our soul, we have our mind, we have our will, our ability to assert ourselves, to assert our power, to control ourselves, right? And our emotions, that's our soul. The will is transformed by experience, not information. How about that? The will is transformed by experience, not information. I know this in my bones to be true. This was in my sophomore year of college, my undergrad experience. I did what was called an experiential education program. And I love this because we live our life through experience. We are trained to like go to school and sit in a chair and like take in the information and we're told what to think. And then we go to conferences and the same thing happens. We like sit and then somebody speaks and we take in information, we journal, whatever. But in these cases, right? Unless there's like a practicum, okay, of some sort or an internship, we are not getting experience. We're just getting information. And that's what can make learning so hard and so challenging because we're not really developing a relationship with it. Therefore, we're not getting the wisdom, the understanding, and the knowledge that we actually can. So when you test something, through experience, that's going to then actually test you to see what you've learned and what you know and where you have opportunity to learn something and grow. Making sense. So in this instance, this experiential education program was all about testing to see if you were fit for the real world. So the idea was you would go to a new city, you would have this center where you would meet, you would gather, you would take classes, you would meet with your mentor for this experience. Then you would have to find a place to live. You would have to find some roommates because it probably was going to be far too expensive for you to live there by yourself. Then you would have to interview and get a job, and you would have to work out that whole experience and report back. Okay. And so you had to go through like, how are you doing in the real world? Like, what are you learning? What are the lessons? What are the challenges? What is going on? And so very quickly you find out, like, are you able to adapt to being on your own or to being around humans that you've never met before or to taking on new challenges of the workplace. Like it gives you so much feedback instantly to mirror back to you how you are doing, whether you are, like really becoming resourceful and able to like lean into uncomfortable scenarios and all of that, or whether you don't have skills that you might need and you're not able to cope with all the challenges that are coming together all at the same time. Is this making sense? So we actually do so much better when we actually have experiential education in our life. We are not designed just to get information and get inundated with it because we don't know what to do with it. So sometimes we can get so obsessed with going out and getting information. We will listen to all the podcasts. We will take in all of the books, you know what I mean? We'll listen to all the audiobooks. We'll even read a whole bunch of articles. We'll like sit and we'll scroll through posts all day. But all of that is information. And unless you are engaging in critical thinking and unless you are like chewing on that and processing that and breaking that down and applying that in your life, you're not actually getting the revelation of it. Therefore, you're not going to be able to embody it and transform by it in your life. Is this making sense? So it's so important that we start to learn how to actually digest what we are receiving and how to test it and implement it immediately. So another example of this, I started setting up experiential education in my own life. So I was in corporate America. This is a very high profile position. It was very intense in terms of time, mental capacity, emotional capacity, just even like physically straining because of the schedule, the hours that you had to be there, the ways that you had to lead and manage many different details and crises all at the same time. It was a lot, right? So in that time, I started to sense very quickly that I was not going to be developed there. I wasn't going to be invested in. I wasn't going to be trained. And other people around me didn't care about that. Like, as long as they were getting a paycheck or a salary, they were like, I'm good. And I was thinking, I'm not good. And also, I had the awareness to know that this environment is not healthy. Like, you have to have a crazy capacity for dysfunction, for stress, for overwhelm, for ego, for so many things in order to make it here. And I just thought, this isn't going to work unless I have more skills, unless I have more tools, unless I have other experiences that help me operate in this one differently. Right? Like, if I conform to what's going on here, I'm actually in really big trouble. So I need to counter that with something that's going to help me. Okay. So this is actually when I've gone through many coach certifications, ministry trainings, ministry certifications, but this one I sought supernatural ministry school. So I planted myself. I think I ended up being in this for 5 years. I was in this intense supernatural ministry program. And what was fascinating about this was I was interacting with the content in the school totally different. And I could observe that. I was interacting with it really different from my peers because I was absorbing it like a sponge. I was like sucking it all in, and I was implementing it immediately like my life depended on it because it did. So here's the thing that was fascinating. Whereas some people were on their phones when sessions were happening, or sometimes they would like fall asleep, do you know what I mean? Or they weren't really paying attention, or, whatever was going on for them. Sometimes they were taking notes, but it just landed in their journal, but never hit their life. I was taking it in. I was taking notes so that it was like being imprinted in my memory. And then I was going to go implement that tool, like literally in the workplace the next day. Like, I was going to just work my tools and test my tools. And what I started to see was I was getting strengthened. I was literally strengthening myself in the Lord. I was encouraging myself in the Lord. I was literally becoming more resilient, more capable, more intuitive, more present, more sensitive, more resilient, right? And it was fascinating to me, and I was obsessed. I was like, where have these tools been all of my life? Because as I'm experiencing them, as I'm implementing them, I'm experiencing the freedom and the benefits, and it's amazing. Like, it's changing me, and it's changing how I work, and it's changing the results that we're getting. And then I started to see instantly that everything that I was leading was starting to prosper. And I thought, this is fascinating. So it was so fun for me to literally take this information and apply it. So, case in point, we're not just supposed to take in information and sit on it, right? It's almost like going and getting a degree and spending so much time, so much energy, so much money, and then never doing anything with that, right? Or it's like going and getting, let's say, even like doctorate level teaching, right? Like graduate or beyond. You go and get all this education and then you never use that to serve anybody. What would that all be for? Like, the whole idea, okay, is to actually experience something so you can explore, okay, more about it. You can actually learn it, and then you can take what works and release what doesn't. Hopefully, this is making sense, okay? So just think about this in your life. I like to think about, I am not going to take on anything that I can't implement, that I literally do not have room for. If I can't chew on it and digest it, I don't have space for it in my life right now. I've got enough to be chewing on, right? So just think about that. When we get overloaded with information, we shut ourselves down through information overload. Then we go through analysis paralysis, and there's just some things you're not going to know until you're in the experience where you need them. So train yourself right now to be strong and skilled in what you need to get strong and skilled at, and then keep that up. Making sense? Okay, and this is where great coaching comes into play. This is where great accountability and support also comes into play, because all of that turns into leverage. All right. So I want to just mention, let's see which one I want to go through. I want to mention, I have like a huge teaching. There's like so many pages on this. We have the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach Certification Program, and we go through so much content and so many manuals. It's the best, but I'm just trying to give you like a teaser. Which one do I want to do? Okay, we'll just do this one just because this will help you process experience that you've had. So this will connect it to the message that we're going through. Okay. This, I recommend getting like a blank page, a blank notebook so that you can do this exercise and give yourself around 30 minutes to actually do this. If you want to set a timer on your phone, put a time block on your calendar, however you want to approach this, but give yourself 30 minutes to do this. Sit in a quiet place, and I want you just to reflect back on your life story. And I highly recommend doing this prayerfully with Holy Spirit. Like, don't look back on your life without God in it. Look at your life with God because He's going to reveal so much different to you. Okay. So, number one, when you're doing this, okay, you want to identify life-shaping events, okay? Like events that have happened to you that have totally shaped your life. Like they've made an impression on you, they marked you in some kind of way, okay? So I recommend having a piece of paper, just draw a line down the center. On the left side of it, this will be like the shaping event, okay? Then on the right side of it, it's going to be the life message that gave you. Okay, so there was like this shaping event, and then there's like the meaning that you gave it. All right. So, number one, in the first column, start identifying what these life-shaping events are. Like, depending on your childhood, your upbringing, you might not remember things until a certain age, or you might really remember certain things and not remember other things. Doesn't matter. Do not filter right now. Just literally write down all of these life-shaping events that happened. What is a life-shaping event? It could be a transition. It could be a difficult experience. It could be a wonderful experience. It could be a important relational dynamic or influence. It's these experiences that most deeply impacted you and shaped who you are, and that can also feel for better or for worse, depending on like the meaning that you've given it. So it's just deeply impacted you in some sort of way. So it's a shaping event. This marked you, it deeply impacted you in some sort of way. No filter. What you're going to do is just list out as many things as you can think of. And sometimes too, you can do it like in 7-year increments. So from like 1 to 7, you might not remember things at 1. Okay. But you might remember things from like 5 to 7, right? But you want to write down events there. You can do it from like 7 to 14, right? Like you can kind of like keep going, okay? However you want to do that. But write down all of the events, all right? Then what you want to just consider as you're doing that these can be, if they weren't already, opportunities that you meet God. Okay, so like if you didn't know God at the time of this shaping event, this could be an opportunity for you now to process a tough circumstance or any circumstance for that matter with God. And that can become a transformation. That can become transformed. He can renew your mind and give that area, that event, that circumstance new meaning. And that will likely then produce a new message for you. Okay. So, let's say like a destiny shaping event that I've experienced. I was 7 and my adoptive mother was struggling with alcoholism, and she, in her mind, thought it was a good idea to connect me with my biological mom. And her reasoning for how she was going to do that was to call her and then hand me the phone and say, your mom wants to talk to you. So this to me was just a normal day. I was just walking through the kitchen and she looked at me and she handed me a phone receiver and just said, your mom wants to talk to you. Right? And I'm 7. So that's a lot. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that means and I didn't know God at this point, so God couldn't really help me process this. Okay. But that changed my whole world and my whole trajectory. And I had nobody to process that with. I didn't understand what that would mean for me or how things would change for me. What it did was rob me of safety. It really took a childlikeness out of me where it's like, oh, childhood's over. We have to grow up and deal with some big things. Like there's things are not as they appear. There's a lot more going on. So it kind of made me dissociate, like literally leave my body to process the trauma of a moment like that, and not being able to understand. Like, because when you're 7, like you don't think and reason. Your brain hasn't even fully developed for you to do that in a way that you need to. You can't regulate emotion. You don't even know what emotion you're feeling. So you're feeling so many. You don't have language to communicate what's going on. You're just vulnerable. Okay. So that was a shaping event. Now, when I look back on that message with God, I knew in that moment that my life would never be the same and that I must be here for some sort of reason. Like, this is intense. This is a lot. What is this about? Like, it just had me already looking for meaning in a very different way. Well, when I look back at this with God, my search for meaning has given me like a superhuman ability to help people wrestle with meaning in their own life and to coach them through that in their own life, or to help them with all these big things like meaning, like purpose, like significance, like unworthiness, like so many deep-seated things. I have a supernatural ability to really help walk with people through those things because I was introduced to it so early. Okay. So I have a different level to empathize with people. I have gained a lot of wisdom from looking for tools and skills early to communicate, to express, to grow, to develop. Like my priority on growing was so large because of a life event like that, that now I have a capacity to sit with some really tough stuff with compassion, right? And to nurture myself in a way that I was never nurtured and really love other people in times of great suffering and transition in deeply painful places, right? So that marking has actually become part of my calling and also one of my supernatural capabilities, right? But if I didn't see that with God, it could look like, um, nobody cares about me. Like I was dropped. Like I don't have a future. Like I'm unworthy. Like I'm unwanted. Like I could have massive amounts of shame and believe that there's something wrong with me or that I'm a problem, literally from that. So it could have marked me in a negative way, but if you look at it with God, you change how you process. Making sense? Okay. Destiny shaping event. Number 2, you want to discover, like what I just walked you through, you want to discover life messages from events, but we're in usually big trouble when we try to give meaning to things that doesn't serve us. So a lot of times we do this thing as humans where we try to blame other people for our experience. Like my parents broke me and we like blame parents, or we try to say, well, this person abused me, or we try to say, well, this person stole from me, or this person betrayed me, or whatever. We try to look outside of us for all the ways that we've been victimized. Okay. Now, there can be wisdom in seeing things as they are so that you can change how you relate to those things, and how you evolve into your future. Like you can take vital lessons that you need to learn, learn them so that you don't repeat lessons that are not so fun, okay? And that you don't want to relive. So, for example, maybe this person did legitimately cause harm to you. Okay, well, what was your part in that so that you can have more awareness in the future? So maybe you can, assert yourself differently or put different boundaries in place or avoid this flag the minute that you see it or whatever those things are. Maybe it's not you just so easily overlook faults or you tolerate this level of abuse. You should never tolerate that, right? So there's things that you can learn, but you're not going to learn them if you look from the mind of a victim. Okay. So at some point we have to look and see, okay, this is these are the cards that I've been dealt, right? And as I'm healing and discovering what has happened to me, and I'm developing language for that, and starting to discover my capabilities and my power and my agency and start reclaiming that, okay, then I can really show up with agency and authority in my life and power in a very different way. So I'm not just going to give it away, I'm going to actually exercise it, okay? And this takes time. So there's no shame, there's no condemnation, right? We're all healing, we're all growing, we're all evolving. But, right, we want to look with God at things so that we can get a perspective from the Lord. Like we can look with God's eyes, we can look with the mind of Christ, we can look with the heart of God, right? He can reveal truth to a situation that didn't previously have it. So something that's really dark and really heavy, when we see it with God's light, we see it differently and it brings lightness to our being too. Okay. So you can take each experience that you've listed out here, and then in turn, you can reflect and you can journal through some compassionate inquiry to help yourself see it differently. That's a miracle, right? A miracle is just shifting perception. Like I was hurt. I was dropped. I was victimized in this situation, right? So from that, if I ask these questions, here's what I might learn. So take a situation, then ask, how did this experience shape who I am? How did this experience shape who I am? How am I a different person having gone through that? How am I a different person having gone through that? Like, for example, I went through a very abusive relationship, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. I went through a very, very abusive relationship. And if I ask this question, how did this experience shape who I am? It woke me up. It like woke me all the way up to unhealed wounds that were still in my soul. It woke me up to a unhealthy level of capacity for cruelty. Like I had cultivated such a level to contain and hold pain and cruelty that it was no longer working. Like I could no longer allow myself to be treated with such cruelty and dishonor and disrespect, where maybe that had been something I was familiar with. That was something that I'm like, whoa, because of how painful this is, I am not gonna allow that to be that to allow myself to be treated that way. So like that repressed anger came out as agency for me to now go change my life and to make sure that I don't allow other people to treat me that way anymore. Does this make sense? Okay. How am I a different person because I went through it? Well, I'm a different person because I um, don't expect people to have a kind heart. I don't take people at their word. I watch what they do. I discern things faster. I've really cultivated the skill of discernment so I can just see and sift way faster. I do not tolerate dishonor and disrespect. Just don't. I don't do drama. I don't engage in manipulation and control. Like there's just things that are different. Whereas maybe like before, I'd give the benefit of the doubt. I might overlook that. I might not assert myself. Now I'm like, absolutely not. Like my standards and the way I show up are totally different. Does this make sense? Okay. How did I meet God in this? Well, this specific relationship actually led me to the Lord. Like the level of wickedness, cruelty, darkness scared me into recognizing that what I was dealing with was not natural. Like there is like something going on here that I am warring with that I don't have the skills, the ability, the capacity to overcome by myself. And that's scary, and I don't know what to do. So it showed me my need for God in order to get free of what I was encountering. How did God use it to shape my heart and character? Well, it led to me crying out to the Lord. It led to a very real encounter with the Lord. Um, and it changed how I live my entire life and the foundation that I build my life on and what I value, and how I care for myself, right? And in how I love and care for other people. It changed everything about me. What is the message this experience built in me for others? Well, that was a huge launch to the work that I'm doing today. The work that I do in the world was birthed from that. Where am I drawn to others, qualified to speak to them, and have deep impact because of this experience? Well, so many people are oppressed. So many people are wounded from as early as childhood. So many people have this orphan spirit where they don't know God for real. So many people are not transformed in their heart. So many people are suffering unnecessarily. So many people do not have skills that they need to communicate, to express themselves, to courageously pursue the things that they're on the planet to pursue, to build and to produce the things that they're going to need resilience and resourcefulness and a renewed mind and a firm foundation to build, right? So many people do not have support. So my life is dedicated to creating all of this to help people get find healing, discover healing, access God, encounter God for real, get activated in all that He is in the kingdom, and get deployed into their destiny. And there's support for every step of the way, right? So, what I did here, okay, in column one, you're going to write down and identify all of your life shaping events, okay? Then in column two, you're going to start discovering some of the messages that you have for these events, okay? So with each one, you're going to answer the questions that I just gave you. How did this experience shape who I am? How am I a different person? Because I literally went through that experience. How did God actually meet me in this? And if He didn't in that moment, answer it now. Like if you know the Lord now, answer how He met you in that. Or even ask Him, God, where were you in this? And then He will redeem it by what He reveals to you. How did God use it to shape my heart and my character? Okay. And then what is the message this experience built in me for other people? Because you have to live your message before you offer it to other people. Okay. Where am I drawn to others, qualified to speak to them, and have a deep impact because of this experience? So the power of this work is that you see that God doesn't waste anything, that He actually turns your pain into purpose if you allow Him to transform you and the way you see it. Okay? The way you perceive and experience it. Is this making sense? So, this work is so powerful. What you can do once you start doing that is you can start layering the level of revelation that you get. So you can go through and you can start examining the events and the meanings that are there. You can start looking for themes. You can start looking for places of greatest impact. You can start looking for unique qualities and capabilities that you have that certain places and people need. And you can see who you're most drawn to help or what issues really are a unique burden that's on your heart. Like you carry a unique burden and a unique piece of God's heart, and you can see what messages are standing out, where they came from, and then you can start getting clear about where you are best qualified and fit to serve and how that's actually part of your destiny. And when you start to really uncover this, then you start to see too where you might need more character development, where you might need more maturity, where you might need more skill development, where you can get that training and support, who already is doing that in a way that you want. So, for example, when I was in grad school, met a coach at a networking event. It was not what I was expecting or what I was going to see. I mean, it's just not Like I had no idea why I was going to this networking event. It was super early in the morning. It was in Beverly Hills. It took forever to get to, and I just was not even sure why I was there. Um, the idea of networking and meeting new people was very intimidating to me. I felt very, shy, but I was doing my best to kind of like branch out while in grad school. And so I was there, and a woman stood up and she identified as a coach, and I was so intrigued. And I ended up coaching with her and then going and getting certified while in grad school. And what was so profound to me was that for the first time in my life, I had skills to cope with life, in a life that had been wildly unmanageable and deeply painful. And I was in awe. I was humbled in the best way. And I was so grateful. It was like a kid in a candy store where I was like, oh my God, where has this been all my life? And I just was so excited that I actually had skills for life that I had never had before. And I'd been coaching ever since. So it's been a couple of decades that I've been coaching professionally and personally. And it's just a part of the work that I do. But that changed me forever. And I know that there's so many people that were not given the tools that they need to thrive in life and to enjoy freedom and to enjoy an abundant life. And so I have a special heart for that. I have a special burden to equip because I wasn't one that was equipped, right? So it's really interesting when you see that, then you're going to start to see, well, who needs the kind of equipping that I have? Who has the biggest hunger for this type of development, right? And then it just starts inspiring you. It starts bringing more clarity. It starts allowing you to experience more fulfillment because you find how you are uniquely form shaped and anointed. You start discovering that. And then you start to really uncover where that's most needed and who you're most inspired to serve and who can actually receive the fullness of what you have to offer. And life just becomes really, really powerful from that place and really, really fun also. So hopefully this has been a fun exercise or experiment for you to start looking into where you might uncover some meaning, some purpose, some significance that might have been hidden in your life and how that can actually be really inspiring for you. Once you have that, don't forget part of the biggest pieces of this message. You got to go get experience in what you uncover. So go where people are that you're called to serve. Like I knew that I'm here to serve people that want to know God. Okay, and that's not everybody, right? And I know that I'm here to serve people that are really hungry to be clear about who they are and about their purpose and that want to really live intentionally with their life, right? And really full of care. Okay. And they want to be courageous. They want to live their most impactful story on the planet. So that's not your average human. And I'm not here for your average human, right? So it's really, really helpful. It helps you focus, it helps you streamline, it helps you refine, and it helps you get to the bottom of what truly matters so that you can focus on the majors, right? And minor in the minor. So you can keep the main thing. And it just helps you live with so much joy, with so much pleasantness and peace. It just changes your reality. So I hope this added to all of that for you. And if you do want to take it further, we do a deep dive, like for real. Like we are those people, if I were to give you like levels, okay? Like we can meet you wherever you are, and I'll qualify that with 3 levels. We can meet you if you're just like dipping your toe in. We've got 30 days of faith walking. Highly recommend that. Kingdom Daughters, we got something like that. Dip toe in, okay? Then we can also meet you like knee deep, which is right where I believe so many of you are probably ready for it. That is the God's Vibes Mastermind, and you can plug into that right now. That is Holy Spirit Boot Camp that helps you take a look at your whole life. Even what we did just right now helps you dive so much deeper into that. And then there's like out in the deep, and that's our life coach certification. That's having coaching, weekly accountability support. That's prophetic training. It's getting out in the deep with things too. So wherever you are, you can start transforming and getting serious about that inside Courage Co. We're all about it. So you can come plug in. I'll drop all those details below. I hope this blessed you. And until next time.